off. There we go, I think that'll do it. Okay, so number one tip is to ask a question. This is probably my number one social media tip actually. Really important if you're having a conversation on social media, and after all that's what it's all about, to ask a question, because it's a great way to get things going. Ask people's opinion about something, ask them for a comment, but also you can make a statement. You can even publish a blog post and ask people what they think about your blog post or the opinion that you've expressed in your blog post. So this example here is kind of like a salesy one, but highlighting a potential problem. Thinking of outsourcing your payroll for 2016 for no obligation quote, please contact info@payrollsuk.com. So nothing particularly imaginative or creative with that, but it's very clear what they want people to do here, and the engagement, the question just gives it that little bit of extra hook, if you like, for people to get involved with it. And if you look at what's happened here, it's quite a successful little tweet this from a business, actually a client of mine. I think they've just got about 200 and something followers, and they've got 13 retweets for here, not bad. So basically 13 people have shared this, nice bit of extra awareness, and a couple of people have favourited that. So ask a question, point number one. Number two is try and use a hashtag pretty much actually in, I'll just move this, give the camera a second. Try and use a hashtag in pretty much every tweet that you send out there. I'm actually talking about hashtags on my daily Periscope show that I do at 8:45 every morning, live on Periscope. Put the details up on the last slide later. Hashtags are a brilliant way to find out information, what's going on out there in the world about pretty much any topic, business sector or location. But from a business point of view, fantastic way to raise awareness of your business by using the right hashtag. And if you're not already using it, I would strongly advise you to use this GlossBiz hashtag. And I just ran a few, a couple of tools to come up with this stat. And since the week ending, this is basically last week, week ending 17th of October, 197,506 unique users basically received that tweet. But to put it simply, or to put it technically, that tweet or a tweet with the GlossBiz hashtag appeared in their feed, in their timeline. So that's a lot of visibility for a single hashtag, and we're just talking about 1 week here. So two things, like I say, lots of information to be had if you follow this hashtag, so if you just passively take notice of it and see what's happening, but also a great way to get extra awareness from your business by just simply adding that hashtag to your tweets. And if you get involved with it, if you actually get involved with that conversation, you can probably answer people's questions that they are asking. There's probably going to be conversation starters in there for you to start building relationships and getting to know people who are also doing business in Gloucestershire. And it kind of like does what it says on the tin, GlossBiz. It's to be used anything business related in Gloucestershire. And if you're not in Gloucestershire, it's kind of one for most other counties out there as well. So retweet, pretty straightforward one. What is a retweet? It's basically a share. So compare it with Facebook or LinkedIn. It's Twitter's equivalent of a share. So you want really to get as many retweets as possible. People can just click the retweet button under your tweet, and does two things. It pushes it out to every single one of their followers, which is a big deal if they've got a lot of followers. So if you get an influential person on Twitter with whatever, let's say 60,000 followers, 6 million followers, that's quite a big deal if they actually pass your tweet onto all of their followers. So you want to try and aim for retweets with your tweets. But if you retweet other people, there's some quid pro quo going on here, because again, it's relationship building. It puts you on their radar. It flags you up to them. You're doing them a favour because you're endorsing their content by retweeting. and you're also providing some extra content for your own audience. So you know, it's an easy thing to do, but it's a significant thing you can do. So you don't have to be creative and original every single time. You can just find a relevant tweet for your audience and share that out and pass that out. Yeah,
Something quickly on that.
Sure.
Is it worth always adding a comment when you retweet, or is it just retweeting?
Yeah, really good point. I think the whole thing with making tweets or any content on social media engaging is to provide value. So if you can add some extra value by putting a comment on that retweet, putting that share on Facebook or LinkedIn, then yeah, absolutely, because you can actually enhance it by putting your spin on it if you like, or maybe even including another link for further information, or if you've got the same opinion or different opinion, yeah, put in a link to your blog post or article around that. So definitely, and quite easy to do that nowadays on Twitter, because you can hit the retweet button and it now automatically gives you a space in there, as Cynthia says, to put in your own comment on there.
But can we talk about
Yep.
the dark side of all that?
Yep.
You're sending to the whole world, if you like, put a hash in front of it. So you're getting everybody under the sun asking whatever they're feeling like at that moment, just got up with a bad head,
Yep.
and they're sending stuff back to you. So you're collecting a lot of traffic, and do you really want all that traffic?
Okay, so what I would say there is that what you see in your newsfeed, that's entirely your choice, because you decide who you follow. So if you don't want to hear about Bob has had eggs and bacon in the morning, then you simply unfollow Bob. It's as simple as that. So it's in your control as to what sort of content that you're receiving. So if you don't like the content, you simply unfollow the person. And it's not like Facebook where it's a big deal, well, not a big deal, but where it's there's a certain amount of stigma attached to being unfriended on Facebook. On Twitter, it's like it's nothing. It's just like part and parcel of Twitter. So you follow people, and when you're no longer interested in their content, you unfollow them. It's as simple as that. So if you don't like content, just unfollow them. Is what I would say there. And over time, you can find the right hashtags to find the relevant and interesting content. So scheduling. Scheduling's a really powerful thing that you can do. I'm a huge fan of scheduling. In particular, a tool called Buffer that you can use to schedule. Scheduling. Why is scheduling good? So 2 reasons. People often get the words effective and efficient mixed up, but actually Buffer and scheduling is both effective and efficient. It's efficient because it saves you time. So in simple terms, you can put together some tweets and some content for Facebook and LinkedIn in the morning, and then you can schedule it to go out during the course of the day, or even the course of the week if you want to. So it's a huge time saver. In fact, as you're going around the internet finding interesting content, you can just click a couple of buttons, button on your browser bar after you've installed Buffer, and then another one to add it to your queue of tweets and posts, and it'll go out at the appropriate time. So very, very quick and easy to be able to obtain content and to tweet and post content. But it's also really effective because far better for people that are following on Twitter to receive, say, 5 updates during the course of the day, rather than 5 updates over your lunch break when you found 5 interesting articles and you just go tweet, 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 tweet. That just doesn't really work so well. In fact, it might even irritate some of your followers, and you might get unfollowed if you do that. But you put those over the course of the day, and that's more effective because you're reaching different people as they're pulling out their smartphones, reading content, Twitter on their tablet, or viewing their PC. So scheduling, and in particular Buffer, great tool for doing that. Marketing in the moment, or moment marketing as Twitter themselves sometimes refer to it. So anybody know what day it is today? What's everyone talking about on social media today? Yeah, back to the future. So here we have an example of moment marketing. Sad it may be, but it works. So this is KLM, and they've gone roads. Notice the question, as I was suggesting earlier, where are we going where we don't need roads? So it's actually a quote from the film, isn't it? And then hashtag Back to the Future. So they've joined the conversation stream, and it's actually about half an hour ago, it was #1 trending topic in the UK. So it's a massive conversation that's going on that people are interested in on Twitter. And I took this at about 7:30 this morning, 26 minutes after it was tweeted, and already by then it's got 86 retweets. So some interesting coverage there, lots of shares, lots of great awareness for KLM. Very nice picture, because they basically put in the clock from the DeLorean car on the back of this. You can probably see that on the back of the airline seats here on their aeroplane. So nice sort of fun picture. 99 people have favourited it as well. And I haven't got a clue, but I wouldn't mind betting that if you looked at that now, it's probably over 1,000 retweets in the course of today. So if you think all those people have got between, say, 500 and 1,000 followers, a lot of nice free awareness and exposure for KLM there. And if you study, if you just basically, hashtags work on the basis that technically if you click on that link, you'll get all the conversation around Back to the Future tweets today. Or if you put it in the search engine on Twitter, exactly the same thing. And if you do that, you'll see that there's countless brands, some doing it less well than others, taking advantage of Back to the Future Day today. But every day is something. Every day there is a news event going on. Every day there is a sort of buzz topical conversation. Every day a new film comes out. There is always something that you can latch onto. It's also called newsjacking as well. This idea of taking advantage of the news and basically benefiting your business from that. Another example, so Rugby World Cup on at the moment. This is a small shop in Cardiff. Again, I think it's only about 200 followers. We're getting ready for hashtag Wales versus South Africa later on. Good luck to all the home nations this weekend. Nice, simple, clean message there. But the key with this one is hashtag RWC 2015. Thereby, they're joining all the conversation about the rugby. And so, small account, but what do we get? 5 retweets and 2 favourites there, and probably more since I took that screenshot as well. So, like I say, there's always something going on, both locally, nationally, and internationally that you can tap into. So, number 6 is what I call shake the digital hand, my favourite social media expression. What this means is really keep an eye on your notifications area on Twitter. And take notice of that. Take notice when people favourite your content, when they retweet, when they mention you, when they thank you for something. Really any sort of interaction at all. Anything that you see in notifications, especially if they're doing that for the first time and you don't know who they are. So if they just come out of the blue and they've retweeted you, they're doing you a favour there. So that's a start of a potential business relationship there, or at least a Twitter relationship. So it's worth going back and retweeting them, favouriting one of their tweets, asking them how their day's going, thanking them for the retweet. Just getting that conversation going, because otherwise it's like an event here where somebody walks up to you in the room, a stranger, puts out their arm, and you turn away and go and get yourself a drink. That's the equivalent on Twitter if you're not going back and thanking these people and interacting with people after they've put out their hand, after they've interacted with your tweets. So it's a goldmine. And if you do that, you'll pick up more followers, you'll spread awareness, and subject to today's talk, you'll get way more engagement with your content doing that. So that notifications area, do sort of keep an eye on it on a regular basis. You know, if you want to set up noises, and it's not for me, I switch it all off, but if you want to set up, because I want it all the time, but if you want to set up noises, alerts, pop-ups on your phone or tablet, you can do all of that to remind you you can get emails to remind you that you've had a notification that somebody's taken an interest in you, shown an interest in you and your content. So it's really worth taking advantage of that.
Can I just ask John,
Yep.
can you do an automatic reply to if somebody retweets?
You
I know
can.
that's maybe not the best way, but
You can, but yeah, you said it yourself, really. Not the best way, because whilst I'm all for scheduling, I'm not for automation, because I think that takes the personality out of it, and it usually shows. And sometimes it can backfire because it's just not what you've said in the form of words, just isn't quite appropriate and doesn't work. So yeah, this is why Twitter's sort of more time-consuming than Twitter. Than Facebook. That's really the downside of Twitter. And yeah, it can give you fantastic rewards. So yeah, try and be personal, which is actually the next slide. So show personality, be personal, two sort of slightly different things there. So on the one hand, I think really important, especially if you're a one-man band, is to have your face. Show your face on Twitter. So either in your profile picture here, where in this case British Gas Help have got their logo, or what they've done here, this is really nice, good practice, they've got pictures of all their team with the Christian names of their team on their customer services on Twitter. So you know who you're dealing with. Not actually any examples here because I've chopped it out, but if you look at their account, they will actually reply with their initials or with their name. And I have to say, just happen to know a bit about British Gas and how they work, and they're one of the few, perhaps surprisingly, that have got their customer services integrated right the way across the board. So for the same problem, you could contact them via email, phone, letter and social media, and they would tie that all together. But perhaps surprisingly, not all businesses are doing that yet. So 2 points, I guess. Twitter is fantastic for customer services, which is why they've set this up. It's great for the customer, and it's also great for the business that's running it. And the second point, show personality. Another example here from Autoglass. So on their Twitter background, if you click on one of their individual tweets, they've just got a couple of pictures of 2 of the people on their account. So Emma and Mike, nice sort of pictures, you know what they look like, and again, you know their Christian names. I think the big personable side of it is, you know, this name thing is important. Try and call people by Christian names in your tweets. Be friendly. You know, Twitter's a fairly informal place. So show personality and be personal. Oh, there's another example here. What have we got here? Complaint to O2. Marvellous how the O2 network doesn't work less than a mile from Twickenham Stadium, and that's kind of like a bit tough for O2, that one, because there was the Wales rugby game on at that time that the guy tweeted. So obviously a lot of phones being used in the area. But let's say, hi Ian, calling him by name. Sorry to hear that. There's a mast in the area not working at the moment. Our engineers will have it fixed ASAP. You know, what more could you want? And that was, yeah, the tweet was pretty quickly answered there. So another example of good customer services and showing some personality there. Number 8, images, hugely powerful on Twitter. They preview automatically these days, so they show in people's Twitter feeds as they're scrolling down on mobile, so tablet or smartphone. And all the evidence shows is that we like to engage and interact with images and photos way more than we do with text. You know, it's that old adage, picture tells 1,000 words. You know, there's so much more to a picture than a string of text in a sentence. And here's a really nice picture from a chaplain, vicar, from Durham Cathedral in the background. You've got the mist here and the autumn colours. Again, he's got, I don't know, 300 followers on his account, not very many, but look at this, 36 retweets, 64 favourites, including a retweet from myself on that one, because I thought the picture was so good. So pictures, especially good ones like that, can be hugely powerful. And of course, that's, you know, maybe I'll get in trouble for talking about Vickers and their brand, but everybody has a brand, and you know, he's on brand, isn't he? Because he's tweeting a picture of the cathedral there.
Is he on message too?
Well, I haven't really studied him enough to figure that out. This one, what's wrong with this one? Where are their heads? Vogue chopped their heads off for some reason. So even big brands make mistakes with photos on, this is a recent one, I've lost the date now. But don't do this. So if you use a tool called Canva, at canva.com, you can get a picture that's exactly the right size for your tweets and avoid mistakes like Vogue's there. So don't chop the top of buildings off, don't chop people's heads off. get the picture the right size and looking smart, and you can use Canva to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just got in here.
Sure.
I used to put pictures up on Twitter, obviously, and I never used to resize them. And I used to find that you'd get that effect, some even times more extreme.
Yeah.
And I found people actually clicked on that so many more times than they would if they just saw the image, because they wanted to see what the rest of it was.
Yeah, I guess there might be an argument for that counter argument. Yeah, it'd be interesting doing a sort of split A/B test on that to see with the same picture at different times to see which one was more popular. Because there would be a third option as well. I've not shown the picture at all, just a link or something. Isn't there? So yeah, but yeah, it's that's an interesting one. Add quotes. I'm not a huge fan myself, but the fact is that they do work, particularly inspirational quotes, and there's another hashtag that's pretty popular at the moment on Mondays called Monday Motivation. So very simple to get a motivational, inspirational quote, put it on a nice background, and tweet that up. But don't just put it out as text, as so many people do. Way more impact if you add it on top of an image, and you don't have to be a whiz Photoshop designer. You can use a very simple app called WordSwag or Canva that we talked about before to do this, and there's just an example there of some text over a white background. People will engage with that. But fundamentally, point number 10, as I was saying to Cynthia, really is providing value. Think of your audience. It's not, you almost probably get bored of social media people saying this, but it's not about sales and broadcast. You've really got to engage, and it's the subject of this talk. It doesn't work if, like a certain local estate agent does, you just bang out details of the houses you've got for sale day in, day out, minute in, minute out. Nobody is going to be interested in that because they can get that on the website. So just a few ideas: testimonials, inspiration, news, tips, competitions, offers, discounts, helping people, asking questions, like we said, useful information, freebies. So, and there's lots more ideas I could give you on that, and I'm sure you could think of loads yourself. But all of this it's what's in it for me, as in what's in it for the reader. That's the question to ask yourself. What's in it for your potential customer or your customer? Important to provide value. And yeah, it's a good starting point. Lots of people say to me, "Well, Jonathan, I just don't know what to tweet." So think value. Think what can you do? How can you help people? How can you benefit your community? And bonus one, if you're, especially appropriate as we're at a network meeting today, if you're really good on Twitter, and I don't profess to be really good, but this guy is, a guy called David Haman, who I met recently, tweets as JSD Consulting. So pretty much on a daily basis, he goes out of his way when he either finds or when he comes across content that he thinks other people on Twitter will be interested, and flags it up to them. So probably a couple of times a week, he actually sends me something of interest, and quite often it's something that I don't already know anything about. So it's like of genuine value for me. So that is a really unusual, I think, sadly, but a really good best practice example of somebody that is providing really excellent value to his audience, because he's actually taken the time and the trouble to think very specifically about what they want, and then mentioning them, as he does with me and another social media person there, about this particular conversation here, which is actually a topic of interest in its own right, but we won't go there. But it's actually about Facebook's new personal assistant, their equivalent to Siri. Yeah, of interest to me. So if you really want to be Superman on a super tweeter, let's say, then that would be a gold sort of standard to aim for, is actually find particular articles, content, tips, quotes, and that sort of thing that will be of use to individual members of your audience, and let them know. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Happy to take any questions at all, if you have any, on Twitter or indeed any aspect of social media.
Can I ask another one?
Yeah, sure.
What's the etiquette around? Seem to get a lot of spurious people saying, you know, can we follow you, and how have they come from? What's the etiquette around sort of saying no, go away, or just ignoring them? Or?
Well, there's not really much on Twitter you can do about people following you, because it's more really their choice than your choice.
Okay.
I mean, if it's really an inappropriate, I don't know, say a racist or a pornographic account that you want nothing to do with, then you can block them and prevent them from following you. But generally, if people, they might have some obscure reason that is not immediately obvious why they're following you.
Yeah.
But there are tools that you can use. ManageFlitter.com is one, Crowdfire is another, where you can do things like analyse your followers to a certain degree. And an obvious one is removing inactive people that you're followers and following. But if you're following a whole bunch of people that have stopped tweeting 6 months ago, then you might as well get rid of them and improve your following to followers ratio. So they can give you some analysis around your both followers and following. Tom, you had a question.
You've mentioned to tweet throughout the day. Is there a particular time that's better to get the best audience?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of blog posts out there that say things like top secret, this is the time to tweet during the day, but I don't actually go with that. I think with Twitter, it's a fairly constant thing during the course of the day. I think people, just because, to give you a reason why I don't really go with that, it's that if, say, you personally looked at a tweet at 4:30 today, does that make it any more likely that you'll look at a tweet at 4:30 tomorrow? Probably not, maybe a little bit, but I would say not, because we just go on and off these days, don't we, in terms of our tablets and our phones when time suits for Twitter. So I would just say whatever your customers' hours are, and don't forget international hours, so if you use something like Buffer, you can schedule for international hours if you've got customers internationally. Tweet when they're active, just during their working hours. Facebook's different, however. Facebook is a more sort of defined time because it's just used in a slightly different way, so you will find that a lot of people on Facebook are active around sort of 6 through to 9 p.m. And for those people that have got a Facebook page, you can actually see from a tool called Insights within Facebook when the best time to post it is, when people are most active. So Twitter, office hours; Facebook, check your insights and post at the most appropriate time. Anything? Any other questions at all? Yep.
Is there any downsides to the news checking with the hashtags that you mentioned there?
Yes, there's been some spectacular failures in the past where people have tried to jack a sensitive event in completely the wrong way for sales purposes. So, for example, well-known one is, you know, the fashion brand Kenneth Cole. So they tweeted during a few years back now, during the Cairo uprising and the Arab Spring, they tweeted something along the lines of there's riots in Egypt, or in Cairo, Egypt. They must be on the way to the Kenneth Cole autumn sale. Not very sensitive of the situation, where people were literally dying on the streets, as we know, and it was a very serious situation. So you can do it badly. So yeah, there is a certain amount of risk, and also you can just sound, if you don't do it quite right, you can also come across as cheesy as well. So it's just getting it right. And there was another good one the other day. I saw Rugby World Cup, where Sharp's Brewery, a Cornish brewery, and you know, there's a little bit of a link with rugby there. So people drink the beer, don't they, when they're watching the rugby? But they were giving away a ball with Sharps written on it, rugby ball, and they had a picture of a rugby player. I'm not that into rugby, so it might have even been a famous one, but they had a picture of a rugby player kind of like flying through the air by some Cornish cliffs. So that like puts it into context, the fact that it's a Cornish beer, nice picture of the image, and then there was a deal spend some money with us on our website and we'll give you some money off. So that's okay because it's just sort of tying it in naturally. But I think if your brand hasn't got a natural link to the event, it's quite hard work unless you're very clever. Yeah. But try it. It's worth it. It could be worth the risk because if you get it right, your tweet could actually, could go viral.
Yeah. Okay. Could you get, so if it was the wrong thing to do, or like you mentioned about the example there, what is the comeback from other people?
Bad PR basically,
right.
Because people will pick up on that. Other social media users will start having a go at you.
Right.
So yeah, it could turn into a PR disaster if you're not careful, rather than a PR success story, which it could be if you do it right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Or you could do what the Shadow Chancellor does and just say, I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
Always best to apologise, sure. Yeah, in those circumstances, for sure. Yeah, Richard.
For someone who's got a Twitter account but is not really using it at all, where's the best starting point?
Best starting point, actually, I'd say, is not to tweet, but is to look at what other people are doing. So listen rather than tweet. So get a tool like you could just use regular Twitter and follow some hashtags, or get a tool like TweetDeck and monitor some key terms. So just monitor terms like Cheltenham, Gloucester, financial advice in your case, investments, those sort of terms, and see what other businesses, what other people are doing. I think that way you'll start to get a feel for it in terms of how it works. And what I found with some people in a similar situation to you is that one day they'll, after say a week of that, they'll see something that sparks their interest and they'll actually want to reply because they want to join in the conversation. Maybe in your case, demonstrate your expertise by answering a question. So rather than tweet out some stuff, I would say ease yourself into it gradually, and then see me and I'll put a content plan together for you and a strategy, and we can get you going.
Yeah, you asked for that.
We've got,
Okay,
I think that's it.
Would you kindly,
Yeah.
if you draw yourself a camera now, just don't look.
Okay.
Okay?
Here we go. It's Peter, is it? Yeah, Peter Allison.
Lovely.